Hi everyone, this is Steve Pederson. Thanks for joining me. I'm here in my studio with my iPad and Garageband open, and I just wanted to show you what I do. I've got an idea going through my head and just kind of want to lay it down and maybe use it as a background track for some jamming. So I have a little guitar riff, harmonic riff going through my head. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new song by hitting the plus sign, a new song. I'm going to start out with my guitar amp, so I'm going to select a guitar amp, and I'm going to be playing through my Fender Stratocaster, and I'm using the iRig to go into the iPad. I'm going to select my Fender guitar amp here. First thing I want to do though is I want to tune up, so I'm going to hit the little tuning fork there. As my dad used to always say, it doesn't do any good to tune the orchestra after they're done playing. Okay, so I'm going to escape out of that. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to hit the guitar plug icon. I'm going to make sure I turn the monitor on so I can hear my guitar. And there we go. And let's see, I'm going to hit the effects pedal icon here and bring up my effects. I'm going to turn on the echo button, so I have a little bit of echo there. Then I'm also going to go to this little icon over here that has the looks like a graphic EQ, and what that does is that gives you a couple of other effects. There's an overall reverb for the channel. Even though the amp has its own reverb, I like the reverb level of the channel itself. Okay, so now what I want to do is I'm going to go ahead and set the tempo for my session here, and I'm going to do that by clicking on the wrench icon. And that's going to bring up my tempo, but I am going to tap out what I'm feeling here, which is da 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 da. Okay, and it disappeared. I must have touched something else. It's a big screen, and I find that I often touch other things with other parts of my hands, but I did notice that my tempo is set to 140, which is fine. That's about where I want it. So I'm just going to test that. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, great. So that's about the tempo I want. I'm basically going to be playing an E minor 7 chord back to an A7 chord, and I'm just going to create this 8-measure loop. So I'm going to hit the record button. We're going to start off with a 4 count. Okay, so let's give it a listen here. Okay, great. So the next thing I want to do, that electric guitar section is good. Next thing I want to do is add some drums. So I go back to my mixing screen song that I have going on here. I have to add my own drum set. So I'm going to hit the plus icon, and I'm going to add another instrument. I'm just going to add some drums. And one thing I want to make sure I do is go in and again hit this sort of graphic EQ icon. I want to make sure I have quantization on straight, and for this particular song anyhow. Sometimes you might want swing or a triplet feel, but I just want straight. I'm going to go back, and then the other thing that's very important is velocity sensitivity. It's by default set to medium, and unless you want to drive yourself crazy, what you may want to do is just turn it off. And what that's going to do is make all of your drum hits the same velocity, no matter how hard or soft you actually hit the screen. Okay, so I'm just going to play it and see what kind of feel I've got here. I've got my groove. I'm going to start at the beginning, make sure I hit the back to the beginning icon, Alright, so I'm going to record the 8 measure of just the drum and snare, but then it's going to keep going, and I can add things to it as it records. So I'm going to add like the crash cymbal and the ride cymbal later on. Here we go. As you can tell, the quantization works. First thing now I'm gonna do the cymbals. Okay, great. So now I've got my drum track, and if you want to, you can go back to your mixing screen and pull it out and maybe mute the guitar so you can hear just the drums. And if you want to hear that without the metronome, you go ahead and click on the wrench icon and turn the metronome off. Okay, and now I want to listen to just my drums. Great, so now everything's quantized and velocity is the same on everything, so I have a nice, just standard little drum groove there, and I've got my guitar along with it. Fantastic. Now the next thing, of course, I need to do is add a bass guitar. I can either plug my electric bass into my iRig and just, either go through an amp, which I don't think sounds all that great. I can also just do the audio recorder, or I can use the smart bass that's already in there, and I want to play the notes, so I'm going to switch it from chords to notes, and it should be a pretty simple song. I'm just going to do some octave E's and some octave A's and hit play. That's fine. You can check as well on here, quantization. There's no quantization, so maybe what I want to do is do again maybe 16th note quantization on that, and merge recordings if I wanted to do kind of like what I was doing before with the drum, where I do one pass and then just keep recording and then add to it. I would want to turn on the merge recordings, but this is a fairly simple passage, so I don't think I'll need that. Make sure I'm rewound all the way to the beginning and hit my record button, and remember that even though it's in kind of this 3/5 feel, that I do have a 4 count to start out. Out the way I want it to. Okay, great. So now if I want to, I can go back and add some effects to the overall track, or if I want to, I can add a piano. But what I'm going to do is, for right now, just because I want to jam along with it, is I want to go back to my amplifier here and pull up a new instance of an amplifier. And what I'm going to do is actually plug in a different guitar. I want to pull out semi-hollow, put some nice Fat Cat pickups in there, so I want to rock out with those. So what I'm going to do is, of course, make sure I'm in tune. Okay, so now I'm in tune, and I want to go ahead and select monitor on because I want to hear myself playing. And I want to bring up a real nice crunchy amp there. And like I said, I was playing an E minor 7 and an A7 chord, so I'm just going to go nuts with the E minor, or like the E minor pentatonic. And also the relative major, which is G major. Alright, so let's rewind it back to the beginning and play. Hours of fun. As you can tell, obviously the noise, you can hear all the buzz, but that's how I set up a real simple little 8-measure loop that I can jam out to for a while. It's tons of fun, it's really fast and simple, and you gotta love this stuff. Technology these kids are messing around with these days, man. It's out of this world. Take care until next time. Keep on rocking.